Thanks for staying with us. US President Donald Trump has launched his latest broadside against South Africa. Now, in a social media post directly offering South African farmers and their families safe refuge in the US and an expedited pathway to citizenship, Trump posted to Truth Social that South Africa was being terrible for a long time to farmers in the country. And he again erroneously stating that their land and farms were being confiscated. So let's get more details now, right, and bring in SABC News correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease, who's live for us in New York, and to give us the very latest. Sherwin, we'll speak again. We've been talking about what's been taking place in the US. It seems that there's just so many changes, so much of what's being said on social media. Our heads are spinning. What is this latest social media post saying?
Well, the only reason we talk so much is because the common factor here is Donald Trump and Donald Trump's presidency and the things and the diplomacy, right? The megaphone diplomacy, Bongiwe, that this man uses on social media, violating every diplomatic protocol there is in the book. South Africa is, I will remind our viewers, a strategic partner of the United States. There are established channels of communication between strategic partners, be that Ukraine and the United States, be that South Africa and the United States. Department linkages, the president to the presidency, all the departments down the line have channels of communication where these things can be ventilated, disagreements can be discussed, and common cause can be the goal here. But that has not happened, given the plethora of and the growing number of tweets or posts to social media that one gets from Donald Trump, the president of the United States, and of course his one of his most senior advisors, Elon Musk. As this social media post dropped this morning, Bongiwe, here in the United States, Elon Musk was already sort of dominating the narrative on social media with his latest tweet saying that Starlink is not allowed to operate in South Africa, quote, because I am not black. Of course, it's easy to verify that even black foreign ownership in South Africa has to abide by South Africa's black economic empowerment laws. So it's no different if you're black or if you're white. So a verifiable falsehood from Elon Musk. And at that moment, Donald Trump then tweeted or posted to Truth Social, quote, South Africa is being terrible to longtime farmers in the country. They are confiscating their land and farms, and much worse than that. A bad place to be right now, and we are stopping all federal funding. Of course, this is new. To go a step further, any farmer with family from South Africa seeking to flee that country for reasons of safety will be invited into the United States with a rapid pathway to citizenship. The process will begin immediately. Then the Guardian newspaper out of the UK also has a story this morning, Bongiwe, quoting a State Department cable, essentially communication from the State Department to its embassies and missions around the world, quote, to effectively implement the executive order signed by President Trump against South Africa in February this year. All bureaus, offices and missions shall pause all obligations or the dispersion of aid or assistance to South Africa. That story also then points out that it will not affect PEPFAR funding for HIV, tuberculosis, and other issues in South Africa. So the PEPFAR funding, we understand, will continue. But I guess the State Department reiterating and taking further the executive order signed by President Trump against South Africa. But yes, just another day in which South Africa is front and center here in terms of the attacks from the United States. And of course, we're chasing the misinformation around this consistent erroneous articulation of South Africa's Land Expropriation Act. We know that there have been no illegal confiscations of farms in South Africa, white farms, black farms, farms writ large. There's a debate about South Africa's BEE, right? And we can talk about crime in South Africa, but there is no land expropriation without compensation. It certainly hasn't happened yet.
And one wonders, right now, what would AfriForum and particularly the DA as well have to say? Because when you speak to AfriForum, they tell you that when they went to go speak to the officials there, it was all about AGOA, and they don't even want to go to the US because they also don't want to lose their culture. And then at the same time, you listen to the Democratic Alliance saying that they were having frank dialogues, frank discussions, being asked difficult questions. And now, if you then see him still post in this manner, one wonders what's going through his mind.
Well, the difficulty, I think, here, Bongiwe, is the fact that the White House officials and members of Congress have given an audience to groups like AfriForum, groups like Solidarity, groups like the Democratic Alliance that have visited, but have not yet at the highest level given, South Africa an opportunity to send its envoys, as has been the indication from South Africa's president during the State of the Nation, that they plan to send envoys. But we are hearing now, just a moment ago, from Vincent Magwenya, the South African presidential spokesperson, that the timing is still not ideal for dispatching envoys. He also then reacts to President Trump's latest post. We are not, I'm quoting him now, we are not going to partake in counterproductive megaphone diplomacy. We remain committed to building a mutually beneficial bilateral trade, political and diplomatic relationship with the United States. In particular, the Trump administration. Obviously, it must be a relationship that is based on mutual respect and respect for our independence and sovereignty. And we can say on the record here that of course, hasn't happened. Just the protocols, diplomatic protocols that have been broken in terms of the communications we are seeing emanating from the White House and President Trump in the main. And the New York Times, I will also add, is also now reporting and confirming some of our reporting, Bongiwe, that South Africa is now working on a new trade deal, a trade proposal, a bilateral deal, in the offing between the United States and South Africa, because there is now a clear expectation that AGOA will not be renewed, or at the very least, that South Africa will not be party to that. And that's kind of what we've been choreographing here in terms of our reporting. So confirmation that I think they are working very carefully on what they can present to this, the art of the deal here, what they can present to move this process forward, rather than the tit for tat. He said, she said, you're wrong, I'm lying, you're lying. It doesn't really get us anywhere, does it?
It certainly doesn't, and it'll be interesting then to see what happens, as Pretoria has been saying as well, that even the trade office is still waiting for some key, people in that administration and the offices to then be set up and then deploy their envoys. But certainly showing a lot to watch as far as this story is concerned. Thank you so much for putting us in the picture there. That's SABC News correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease live for us in New York. On that note, Pamela standing by to tell us how things are looking on the weather front. Pamela, I hope they are stable, right, as opposed to what we've seen as far as U.S. politics are concerned.